Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is another troll video. I'm afraid you're looking at a Bison, the Sturmpanzer I Tier 3 German SPG, located on the south spawn of Abbey under the command of hossballs. But I'm afraid there are trolls on this team, and they're going to troll on Arty. Yep, I'm afraid so. It's a Tier 3 game with, well, Tier 3 tanks in it actually. There aren't any other tiers. And, yep, and Arty's going to get trolled by 3 members of his own team, apparently. So, let's see how this prevails. Well, you can see that hossballs has managed to make his way down to the river road, and all of a sudden he comes across a pair of Strv M40Ls, and they're, in fact, 3 Strv M40Ls, and they're trying to push him into the water. And of course he backs up to prevent them doing this. One of them gets behind him, 2004 Chrissy, and the other one Proximal Midnight and Dudley. And they're trying to herd him towards the water to kill him. This is definitely troll behaviour, no doubt about this whatsoever. And this sort of behaviour means that 4 members of their team are not taking part in the battle, and that means the enemy has a distinct advantage, enough for them to win this game. But it doesn't quite turn out that way. But whenever this sort of thing does happen, it's absolutely disgusting, and Wargaming should immediately act when they see people acting like this, trolling in this behaviour. The trolls need to be removed from the game immediately. They need to have their accounts cancelled, and they need to be told that this sort of behaviour is unacceptable. It's totally against Wargaming rules, and it could actually cause people to leave the game. And that's the truth, because a lot of people who come into the game play in the lower tiers, and this sort of behaviour at tier 3 could actually end up with people leaving the game before Wargaming have made any money from it. And you see, what they're trying to do is they're trying to throw him into the water, but they're not having much success, because hossballs is actually resisting to a high degree. And in fact, actually, the Panzer IB, which is what the one of them is actually flipped on his side as a result of this. And the Panzer IB is actually quite a reasonable tank. It's a bit more powerful than the M40L. And so under these circumstances, he's actually managing to fight them off. Now, with one of them on his side, 2 of them are not able to stop him from getting away, so he's managed to escape. They've left the one that's on his side there, and now one of them has fired into him. Proxima Midnight fired into him, and they're now going back to rescue their teammate who managed to flip himself over whilst he was trolling. And I think they've given up trying to throw hossballs into the water. Anyway, this battle has resulted in the enemy getting very close to the cap. As you can see, they've occupied the west side of the map virtually completely. But the team that hossballs is on is actually doing rather well. They're 3 tanks ahead on the enemy. So it looks like they could actually win this game. The trolls are still over by the river, but one of them's come up into the cap area. Hossballs, in the meanwhile, is trying to fire at the enemy. He fires his first shot at the Panzer S35. That's the version of the S35 that was made by the Germans, the Butte Panzers, you might say, the prize Panzers. They captured a lot of French equipment, and some of it which they converted for German use. They slapped on extra armour, because after all, tanks are very expensive, and the Germans, they didn't want to waste money, so they actually converted a lot of material they captured into usable tanks for them. Most of the tanks that were actually used in Russia were based on Czech designs. It's one of the reasons why they wanted Czechoslovakia, because they not only wanted the living space as a Liebesraum, as they actually said, they wanted all the Czech armaments industry, which was one of the best armaments industries in Europe, apart from their own. course, the Czechs manufactured a huge number of armaments for the Germans. Well, he's got his first kill. He's got a Valentine. The enemies are falling like flies now. Now that the teams are actually fighting instead of actually mucking about. Even the trolls are actually fighting. And he's just got a hit on a Panzer IIIe. There's two of the trolls there, Dudley and 2004 Chrissy. Of course, we can't see the other one. Where is it? I think he's out of the game. Yes, Proxima Midnight is out of the game. Well, I think they're going to win this game. There's only 3 enemies left. There's one of them. Light Viz 38. That's a Czech tank that the Germans seem to like a lot, actually, because they converted it into the Panzer 38T. T being obviously the designation that they gave to any Czech tank that was built in Czechoslovakia, mostly at Pilsen. Only 2 enemies left now. There's that Light Viz 38 again. A lot of the tanks that went into Russia initially during Barbarossa were Light Viz 38 or Panzer 38Ts. In fact, if you see a lot of film from the Second World War, you can see that they are Czech tanks in the invasion of France even. There was a lot of French tanks. Czech tanks, rather. Only 1 enemy left, and that's the Valentine. I think he's out of range of hossballs, so I don't think hossballs is going to get a chance to get a kill on him. And they are capping, so it's almost certainly going to be ending up as a win. But the important thing in this battle was the troll behaviour of 3 individuals who really should not be in the game at all because they are misbehaving. And that's it. The game's over. They've killed the last enemy, the Valentine. So let's have a look at the end of battle stats and, of course, the details of those individuals. Well, hossballs managed to get some damage on the enemy. He got a 3rd class tanker and a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 8 in the end, actually. And his win rate for the game was 2412, which is very good. And let's have a look at the details. We can see he was actually high up the table. If he hadn't been trolled for most of the game, he actually probably would have got the most damage in the game overall, because he would have moved up the river road and then been able to shoot a large number of the enemy tanks from the east side of the map. Let's have a look at the trolls. There they are right at the bottom. They're in platoon. Dudley, 2004 Chrissy and Proxima Midnight. These are the trolls. It seems to me that these accounts have probably been opened specifically for the purposes of trolling. I think if we look up these people's details, we can probably see if they are actually trolls. 27 battles. Yes, this person obviously has not been in the game for very long and decided to start trolling people. Let's have a look at 2004 Chrissy. 193 battles. That is his actual name. Yes, and a very poor rating. Let's have a look at the last one, Proxima Midnight, and see if he's in there. Yes, that's his real name as well. 27 battles for him. Surprise, surprise. He's got the same number of battles as Dudley. So these 3 people have come onto World of Tanks, and what they're doing could actually affect World of Tanks' ability to sell to new customers, because if new customers get treated like this, trolled or thrown into the river against their will, what are they going to think about the game? They're going to think it's absolutely dreadful. This is a game where you get victimized by idiots, and your game experience is completely ruined. So Wargaming, are you really interested in getting new customers, or are you interested in looking after your customers and ensuring that these sort of people are kicked out of the game as soon as they do what they do? These people shouldn't be in the game at all. So I would suggest that you actually suspend them to start with for a week, make them realise that Wargaming has spotted them, their names have been identified with trolling, and if they misbehave again and it happens again, then they should be ejected from the game altogether. But personally, I would eject them straight away. I don't see any reason why these people should remain in the game when it was quite obvious that what they were trying to do was throw somebody into the river to drown. They were deliberately trolling, and if they'd done that to the Arty, they'd probably do it to somebody else as well. So there you go. So another troll video, and 3 trolls identified: Dudley, 2004 Chrissy, and Proxima Midnight. So thanks very much for watching.